तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। शांति शांति शांति। Namaskar my dear friends, this is video number 43 on talks with Ramana Maharshi. This video starts with talk number 563. A group of people came on a visit to Sri Bhagwan. One of them asked, "How can I keep my mind right?" Maharshi replied, "A refractory bull is lured to the stall by means of grass. Similarly, the mind must be lured by good thoughts, devotee, but it does not remain steady. Maharshi, the bull, accustomed to stray, takes delight in going astray. However, he must be lured with luscious grass to the stall. Even so, he will continue to trespass into the neighbor's fields. He must gradually be made to realize that the same kind of good grass can be had in his own place. After a time, he will remain in the stall without straying. Later, a time will come when, even if driven out of the stall, he will return to the stall without going into the neighboring field. So also the mind must be trained to take to right ways. It will gradually grow accustomed to good ways and will not return to wrong ways. Devotee, what are the good ways to be shown to the mind? Maharshi, thought of God, 23rd to 26th October 1938, talk number 564. Pandit Balakakdhar, a Jagirdar from Kashmir, had come all the way from Srinagar to have darshan of Sri Bhagwan on Deepavali day. He gave a bundle of papers to Sri Bhagwan containing an account of his life and position. His talks with Sri Bhagwan were all of them personal. One of his questions was, "Now that I have had the darshan of Sri Bhagwan and it is enough for me, may I throw away all the charms, tantras and pujas into the river?" Maharshi, daily puja as prescribed in the Dharma Shastras is always good. It is for the purification of the mind. Even if one feels oneself too advanced to need such puja, still it must be performed for the sake of others. Such action will be an example to one's children and other dependents. Talk number 565. A gentleman from Mysore asked, "How is the mind to be kept in the right way?" Maharshi, by practice, give it good thoughts. The mind must be trained in good ways. Devotee, but it is not steady. Maharshi, the Bhagavad Gita says, "Sanai sanni paramet." The mind must gradually be brought to a standstill. Atma samastham manah kritva, making the mind inhere in the self. Abhyasa vairagyabhyam, by practice and dispassion. Practice is necessary, progress will be slow. Devotee, what is the self referred to in Atma Sanstham, fixing it in the self? Maharshi, do you not know yourself? You certainly exist, or do you deny your existence? The question may arise, who is this self? Only if you do not exist, but you cannot ask anything unless you exist at the same time. Your question shows that you exist. Find out who you are. That is all. Devotee, I have read many books, but my mind does not turn to the self. Maharshi, because the self is not in the books, but it is in you. Reading books make one learned. That is its purpose, and it is fulfilled. Devotee, what is Atma Sakshatkara, self-realization? Maharshi, you are the Atma, self, and that Sakshat, here and now also. Where is the place for Kara, accomplishment in it? This question shows that you think you are the non-self, or you think that there are two selves, the one to realize the other. It is absurd that you identify yourself with the gross body lies at the root of this question. Well, this question arises now. Did it arise in your sleep? Did you not exist then? Certainly you did exist in sleep. What is the difference between these two states? That the question should arise now, but not in sleep. Now you think that you are the body. You see things around you and you want to see the self in a similar manner. Such is the force of habit. The senses are mere instruments of perception. You are the seer. Remain as the seer only. What else is there to see? Such is the state in deep sleep. Therefore, this question does not arise then. Atma Sakshatkara, self-realization, is thus only Anatma Nirasana, giving up the non-self. Devotee, is there only one self or are there more selves? Maharshi, this is again due to confusion. You identify the body with the self. You think, here I am, here he is, there is another, and so on. You find many bodies and think there are so many selves. But did you ask in your sleep, I am sleeping here? How many are there who are awake? Does any question arise for the matter of that? Why does it not arise? Because you are only one and there are not many. Devotee, what is my tattva, truth? Maharshi, you are yourself the tattva. Is there a difference? Is there a different one to know the tattva of another? How can you exist apart from the tattva? The very fact of your existence makes you ask this question. Your very existence is the tattva. Give up the habiliments of the tattva and remain in your essential nature. All the scriptures tell you only not to waste your efforts in non-truth, non-tattva. Give up the non-tattva, then tattva remains always shining, pure and single. Devotee, I want to know my tattva and my duties. Mercy, know your tattva first and then you may ask what your duties are. You must exist in order to know and do your duty. Duty, realize your existence and then inquire of your duties. 26th October 1938, talk number 566. There is a Tamil paper Arya Dharmam. An article on Vairagyam appeared in it. Sri Bhagwan read it out in answer to a question. The article was briefly as follows. Vairagyam is equal to Vi plus Raga, Vikataraga, non-attachment. Vairagya is possible only for the wise. However, it is often misapplied by the common folk. For instance, a man often says, I have determined not to go to cinema shows. He calls it Vairagya. Such wrong interpretation of the words and old saying are not uncommon. Again, we often hear, dog seen, stone is not seen, stones seen, dog is not seen. It is ordinarily understood to mean that one cannot find a brick bait to throw at a stray dog. But this popular saying has a much deeper significance. It is based on a story. A certain wealthy man's house was closely guarded. It had also a ferocious dog chained to a pillar at the gate. The dog and the chain were, however, very skillful pieces of art. They were sculptured in stone but appeared lifelike. A pedestrian on the road once took fright at the sight of the ferocious animal and hurt himself in his attempt to douse it. A kindly neighbor took pity on him and showed him that it was not a living dog. When the man passed by it the next time, he admired the skill of the sculpture and forgot his old experience. Thus, when he found it to be a dog, he could not see the stone of which it was made. And again, when he found it a piece of sculpture, he did not see any dog to hurt him. As the proverb, compare it with the elephant hides the wood and the wood hides the elephant. Here it is a wooden elephant. Atma is always Satya Chite Ananda. Of these, the first two are experienced in all the states, whereas the last one is said to be experienced in sleep only. The question arises how the true nature of the self can be lost in the waking and dream states. It is really speaking not lost. In sleep, there is no mind and the self shines as itself, whereas in the other two states, what shines forth is the reflected light of the self. Ananda is felt after the occasion of thoughts in sleep. It is also manifest on other occasions as love, joy, etc. Priya Moda and Paramoda, but they are all chitta vrittis, moods of mind. When a man is walking in the street, his mind is full of fleeting thoughts. Suppose he passes a bazaar where some fine mangoes are for sale. He likes the mangoes and purchases them. He is next anxious to taste them. So he hastens home and eats them and feels happy. When the fleeting thoughts give way to the pleasure at the sight of mango, it is Priya. When he gets them as his own, the pleasure is Moda. Lastly, when he eats them, the pleasure is Pramoda. All the three kinds of pleasures are owing to the disappearance of other thought. 3rd to 6th November 1938. Talk number 567. Sri Bhagwan explained to Mr. MacLever the first few stanzas of Sadhu Vidya as follows. Number 1. The first stanza is the auspicious beginning. Why should the subject matter of the piece be brought in here? Can knowledge be other than being? Being is the core, the heart. How then is the Supreme Being to be contemplated and glorified, only to remain as the pure self? is the auspicious beginning. This speaks of attributeless Dharma according to the Jnana Marga method of knowledge. Number two, the second stanza is in praise of God with attributes. In the foregoing, to be as oneself is mentioned. In the present one, surrender to the Lord of all. Furthermore, the second indicates one, the fit reader. Number two, the subject matter. Three, the relationship. And fourth, the fruit. The fit reader is the one who is competent for it. Competence consists of non-attachment to the world and desire to be liberated. All know that they must die sometime or other, but they do not think deeply of the matter. All have a fear of death. Such fear is momentary. Why fear death? Because of the I am the body idea. All are fully aware of the death of the body and its cremation. That the body is lost in death is well known. Owing to the I am the body notion, death is feared as being the loss of oneself. Birth and death pertain to the body only, but they are superimposed on the self, giving rise to the delusion that birth and death relate to the self. In the effort to overcome birth and death, man looks up to the Supreme Being to save him. Thus, thus are born faith and devotion to the Lord. How to worship him? The creature is powerless and the creator is all powerful. How to approach him? To entrust oneself to his care is the only thing left for him. Total surrender is the only way. Therefore, he surrendered himself to God. Surrender consists in giving up oneself and one's possessions to the Lord of mercy. Then what is left over for the man? Nothing. Minus neither himself nor his possessions. The body liable to be born and to die having been made over to the Lord, the man need no longer worry about it. Then birth and death cannot strike terror. The cause of fear was the body. It is no longer his. Why should he fear now? Or where is the identity of the individual to be frightened? Thus the self is realized and bliss results. This is then the subject matter. Freedom from misery and gain of happiness. This is the highest good to be gained. Surrender is synonymous with bliss itself. This is the relationship. Fruit is to reflect on the subject matter and gain knowledge, which is ever present here and now. The stanza ends with the immortal ones. 3. The five senses mean the subtle functions, tanmatras, namely hearing, touch, seeing, taste and smell. Variations of these form the whole universe. They vary according to three gunas as follows. By tamas, dullness, the gross elements. By rajas, activity, the instruments for knowing objects. By sattva, clearness, the different kinds of knowledge of the senses also. By tamas, the gross objects, that is the world. By rajas, the vital ears and karmendriyas. By sattva, the sense organs of perception, jnanendriyas. Karmendriyas are organs of holding, walking, speech, evacuation and reproduction. Now consider the ringing of the bell. The sound is related to hearing. The bell is the object, the modification of tamoguna. The rajasic tanmatras changing as the vibrations of sound extend round the bell. Then as ether get connected with the ear in order to be felt as sound, the knowledge recognizing it as sound is the sattva tanmatra. So also the other senses, touch, vayu, air, tanmatra, form, rupa, tejas, tanmatra, taste, 8. Water tanmatra, smell, prithvi, earth tanmatra. To understand the tanmatras as the subtlest particles of matter is not right, for it is incomplete. They are only the subtle forms of sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell, which form the whole components of the universe. Such is the creation of the world. For want of proper terminology, these ideas cannot be rightly expressed in foreign languages. Number 4. This stanza says that all are agreed on one point. What is it? The states, the state beyond duality and non-duality, beyond subject and object, beyond Jiva and God. In short, beyond all differences, it is free from ego. How to reach it is the question. By giving up the world, it says here, the world stands for the thoughts relating to it. If such thoughts do not arise, the ego does not rise up. There will be no subject nor object. Such is the state. Talk number 568. Mr. V.G. Sastry showed a cutting to Sri Bhagwan. It contained some prophecy of Sri Rama Tirtha that India would reach the full height of her former glory before 1950 AD. Sri Bhagwan said, why should we think that India is not already in the height of her glory? The glory is in your thought. 7th November 1938. Talk number 569. In a reply to Sri K.L. Sharma, Sri Bhagwan spoke about Dakshinamurti Stotra as follows. I originally intending to write a commentary on it. Mr. Ranganatha Iyer took away my Tamil version of the Stotra and printed it along with Apalla Pattu. He later asked me to enlarge it. I had the introduction ready. He saw it and took it away for printing. I did not proceed with the work. As for the Stotra, Brahma, the creator, created four sons from his mind. They were Sanka, Sananandana, Sanatha Kumara, and Sanat Sujata. They asked their creator why they were brought into existence. Brahma said, I must create the universe, but I want to go to tapas for realizing the self. You are brought forth in order that you may create the universe. That will be that will by multiplying yourselves. They did not like the idea. They wondered why they should take the trouble on themselves. It is natural for one to seek the source. They therefore wanted to regain their source and be happy. So they did not obey the commands of Dharma but left him. They desired guidance for realization of the self. They were the best equipped individuals for self-realization. Guidance should be only from the best of Master. Who could be but Shiva? The yogi Raja Shiva appeared before them sitting under the sacred banyan tree. Being yogi Raja, should he practice yoga, he went into samadhi. As he sat, he was in perfect repose. Silence prevailed. They saw him. The effect was immediate. They fell into samadhi and their doubts were at an end. Silence is the true Upadesa. It is the perfect Upadesa. It is suited only for the most advanced seeker. The others are unable to draw full inspiration from it. Therefore, they require words to explain the truth. But truth is beyond words. It does not admit of explanation. All that is possible to do is only to indicate it. How is that to be done? The people are under an illusion. If the spell is removed, they will realize the truth. They must be told to realize the falsity of the illusion. Then they will try to escape its snares, whereas they will result. They will inquire into the truth, that is, seek the help that will make them abide as the self. Sri Sankara, being the avatara of Shiva, was full of compassion for fallen beings. He wanted all of them to realize their blissful self. He could not reach them all with his silence, so he composed the Dakshinamurti Stotra in the form of a hymn so that people might read it and understand the truth. What is the nature of the illusion? All are in the grip of enjoyment, that is, bhokta bhogyam bhoga. This is due to the wrong notion that bhogya vastu, the objects are real. The ego, the world, and the creator are the fundamentals underlying the illusion. If they are known to be not apart from the self, there will be no more illusion. The first four stanzas deal with the world. It is shown to be the same as the master, whose self is that of the seeker also, or the master to whom the seeker surrenders himself. The second four stanzas deal with the individual whose self is shown to be self of the master. The ninth stanza deals with Iswara and the tenth with the Siddhi or realization. Such is the scheme of the Stotra, which is the Darpana mirror here. A mirror, as we know it, is an insentient object which reflects light. What corresponds to a mirror in an individual? The light of the self, luminous self, is reflected on the Mahatattva. The reflected light is the mind ether or the pure mind. This illumines the vasanas, latencies of the individual, and hence the sense of I and this arises. Again, a superficial reading of the slokas make one believe that the bondage, liberation, etc. are all related to the master, that is Sri Dakshinamurti. It is absurd. Surrender to him is meat. So this video is completed. Next video number 44 will start with talk number 570. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thanks a lot. Namaskar.